Hello, fellow Losters. Today we have a special guest in our, episode, and she is none other than Lalitha Ravindran, the literary agent based in Pune. And I'm excited because we've never had a literary agent in our podcast. This is the first time, and especially when it is coming to the end of the season. Danya, over to you to introduce Lalita in a more formal way.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lalita is the founder of First Forays Literary Agency. She feels she has a karmic relationship with books and stories since she stumbled into publishing after a long and successful corporate career. A chance meeting with an author at a LitFest led her into becoming an agent. She focuses on writers of fiction and non-fiction and also handles books adaptations into films, televisions, and web series. I think, like Ms. Jayanti said, this is our cost to have a literary agent here, and many listeners and many authors, many aspiring authors are still unsure, especially in India, about what a literary agent does, and how to approach them, or how to go about the entire process of going into publishing through a literary agent. They don't understand the vital role the person who is in the middle. I think right now we are very happy to even get to know you and also know an author could benefit from this meet. We welcome you. We're very happy to have you here, Ms. Lalita.
Hey, thank you so much, both of you, for calling me and wanting to know more about what a literary agent does.
Yes, many are going to benefit through your sharings. So today, let's begin with the basics. How does an author write a query letter to a literary agent like you? And what are the do's and don'ts of that proposal letter, query letter? And what are the must to be done? And what are the things to be avoided? Maybe we can begin with that. And later on, we have much to talk.
Sure. See, writing is one's passion. People have stories to say. They are compelled to write something. People write for various reasons, mostly because they love doing it or that there is a compulsion of a story. But to have the book published is a totally different business. It is a commercial product. And I say a book is no different than a toothpaste or a mobile phone or whatever you buy, because it all depends on who is willing to invest in bringing this product to the market. How do you connect your creation, like a painting or a book or anything, to the ultimate buyer? How do you identify where the ultimate buyer is? Now, these kind of things are very different from what an artist is generally wired to do. An artist is more creative, is creating a story out of nothing. But in the real world, in the commercial organization, you have to know how things work. Otherwise, a good story may not find that many readers, and generally authors are reserved, they're in their own imaginative worlds, so how do they reach? And that's where a literary agent comes in. Unfortunately or fortunately, in India, literary agents are not mandatory. Publishers do accept submissions directly from authors. Except one or two, like Ashet India, who require that the author should be represented. They don't want to engage with individual authors. So the literary agent then becomes like a business partner, connecting the author to possible publishing options that are available. So how do they do that? So today, thankfully there's Google. And there are all kinds of sources, literary agents, everybody has their website. They are mentioned in certain articles in the publishing trade magazines and things like that. And that's how I think generally 60 to 70% of the queries that I get are through my website. That is firstforays.com. And through that query, what do I expect? I mean, you asked me what are the do's and don'ts. So generally is to create enough interest that the agent will reply or ask further questions or will say, yes, I want to know more.
Okay.
So like, I have a manuscript, can you help me publish? Is fine, but you should remember that agents have tons of emails coming in. And every day they cannot be only looking at new queries coming. There are things in the publishing phase. There are things that are in the marketing thing. There are, something else from an organization point of view that the agent is involved. So the agent's mind space is occupied with, like any other job with hundreds of different things. So for you to stand out of the 20 or 30 queries that come in every day, that's what happens with me. I want something that says, I want to know more from this person. So if you just say, I have a manuscript, I need it to be published, I'm like, I'm not even going to star it. I'm like, should I delete it or just leave it there till he comes back with some more detail? So what they can do to really stand out is to then mention that I have written this story. This is in this genre. It is fiction, it is science fiction, fantasy, drama, rom-com, whatever they think is the genre. It's not so important, but it sort of gives an idea to the agent, because agents also don't always do all genres. What is my strength? Do I understand science fiction or not? If I don't understand it, then I really don't want to get into that. It becomes too much of a, like poetry, for example. That's something that I, on my website, say, no, please don't come to me, because I can't read a poem beyond the second line. And I'm like, why am I wasting my time? Sorry for all the poets out there, but that's who I am. I'm more of a non-fiction writer. Reader. And so the thing is, so mention that and then provide at least some form of a detailed synopsis of the story, which should have the full story arc from the beginning, the middle, and the end. So it can be up to 800 to 1,000 words, depending on the size of your story, so that when I read that, I know how that story. What are the characters? Will there be any interest in this? Does it interest me? Because agents are, you can take as one of the first beta readers. You're reading it because you don't know who the author is. You don't know where they're coming. So you can, so I do look at that. And generally the norm is to provide the synopsis as well as the first 2 chapters. We call it the sample chapters, but it cannot be random chapters. Some people send the 5th chapter and the 8th chapter. There is no connectivity. The reason you are asking for the chapter is to see your writing, how it is flowing from chapter to chapter. And for us to make sense, the first few chapters is what publishers also want, and hence agents also prefer to have that. So basically, that is provide enough information to create an interest and to stand out. Also look up their website, what they are accepting, which genre, what they are not accepting. So I don't accept like erotica. And then people will ask me why people are reading it. I said, I just don't want it. I don't know how to handle it, so also try to do that before you query them, so that, there is some bit of minimum understanding.
Yes, correct.
So the query letter should pique your interest, pique the interest of the literary agent first of all, and then I'm sure once it's interested you, you would go on to ask for the entire manuscript. And I'm sure that it goes through one, like you said, you are one of the first readers. What happens after that? Like, let's say you have found a manuscript which is good. Some parts of it are good and some parts of it are not good. Do you leave it to the discretion of the author to just take the manuscript as it is to the publisher? Or do you give them inputs as to, like, can you change these parts of because you have better connections with the publishing world, you will know better which will sell well. Do you give your inputs to the author, or do you suggest them do that, or is it just to the discretion of the author and you just connect the publisher and the author?
So there are a couple of things that I do even before I ask for the manuscript. Just because you have queried and sent it to me, it need not mean I'm going to ask for a manuscript. Because see, to read a manuscript of say 80,000 words, 100,000 words, it takes quite a few days. You can't. Nobody can sit for 8 hours and keep reading for 5 days in a week. That is not how it works, because there are hundreds of other things going on. Some contract is to be ready, some other thing is to be done, something has to be closed, something renewal has to come, some other inquiry. So everybody is doing a lot of other things. So what I do is first I look at the query. I try to acknowledge everything. I mean, I feel that if somebody has reached out to me, at least I should say, yes, I have received it. Unless it is a one line, help me with the publishing, then I might, when I have 3 other things to do, I might say, no, let me not bother. So, so if you don't receive a reply from me, it may be only for that reason. So I will then quickly read the synopsis and the sample chapters and see if this is what interests me, whether this is a story in my view should be told and they could be readers, and also what are the, at this time, what are the genre that the publishers are interested in. It's not just what interests me, it's also what I think, what I see in my experience and my day-to-day interaction with the publishers, whether this will sell or not, whether they are interested in it. Because sometimes they'll say, I'm only looking for non-fiction, memoir, historical fiction. I'm not looking for anything else. Please don't send me romance. I mean, each publishing house has some focus areas. So especially this year and last year, things were almost at a standstill. While things have picked up this year, the list of what they will, it's not like anything is a brilliant story, they're going to pick it up. They also have targets. These are the 5 genres that I'm going to concentrate on. And from this, I will have 10 titles for the year. So if the 21st one comes and is excellent, they may still say no, because they finished their target. Because each book requires over 1 lakh of rupees, 1.5, 2 lakhs of rupees to produce, from a traditional publisher. So whether they are commissioning or not, they do their market study depending on the sales and the demographics and say, this is what is selling, this is what I will focus on. So once I have reviewed this initial query or submission, I will then decide which I want to take further and which I don't want. So what I don't want, I will politely decline for whatever reason. Like I said, poetry. I mean, poetry is a big no-no with me because there are hardly any publishers and they don't really need an agent, and there's not much of an input I feel I can give. No value addition. And they can submit it directly. But in the ones that I am interested, then what you said, I do ask for the entire manuscript after I have read at least 30, 40, 50% of the manuscript, or sometimes even earlier. Sometimes the sample chapters and synopsis is so brilliantly written. You are like, you're only looking for how do I word my yes,
Oh, okay.
When it is really bad, the straightforward no is easy. And then when it is, you're a little bit confused, you're like up and down, it looks good, but then something is missing, or there were too many editing, grammatical mistakes. That also puts you off because you're reading all the time. You're reading, suddenly you're getting a call, something is in your mind, somebody else is calling you, and then you find so many mistakes, grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, poor language. Then you already make up your mind, it's a no. If you're in a better mood, maybe something stands out and you are like, how can I help? How can I help improve this? I mean, in the beginning, I'm about 3.5 years in this business. As you mentioned, I was in the corporate world before some kind of karmic connection brought me here. And at that time, I would take on anything. I'm like, somebody has written 60,000 words. Why can't I help them? I will publish it. I will edit it. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all, because the editing job is a full-time job.
Yes.
And you could be sitting with one manuscript for 2 months. And the author may also not agree with the changes that you are suggesting to them. So now I don't do all that work. I'm like, the author has to do his work. But I will read the manuscript, and if I sort of like it 60, 70, 80%, but I feel that, there are some weaknesses either in writing, or the ending is not same, or something is going out of character, or some other idea strikes me, then I will schedule a call with the author, tell them what I like and what I think needs some work.
Okay.
Most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, mostly 10 out of 10 times, they do agree with it. Depends on how you put it, because I have read it. There are a lot of agents who either charge you a hefty reading fee,
Yes.
As much as 30, 40, 50,000. I do not charge a reading fee. I do not charge anything till I get a book contract that the author is ready to sign.
Fine.
I might get a book contract which they may not be ready to sign. They might want something more which this publisher may not be giving. So in that case also I don't. So it's a lot of time that goes in. So I have this thing. Then I look at the manuscript, and if the manuscript is more or less good, 1 or 2 typos here and there, it's always that is fine. Unless there's something on every page, then I will just tell them to review it, edit it, clean it up and send it to me. And then what I do is, if I can, before going to what do I do with the manuscript and the publisher, then I do sign them up, because I need to have an agreement with the author, and the terms have to be sort of clear. I don't even mind a handshake agreement, which is what it all started with, the agent. And because it is one of trust, one of friendship, it's both of them are on the, on the same team. They are 2 sides of the same coin. So I also need to know whether I can get along with that person, whether that person will be open to some kind of suggestion from my side. Some authors are very adamant, and from their point of view, it may be true, but for the agent, the objective is to get a book contract.
Published. Yeah.
Not to say that you have written an excellent book, this is wonderful book. Then what? It doesn't end there. What you want from me is a contract, and for the book to be widely available. And for me to do that, you'll have to also do something, if in case it is being suggested. So being open-minded with that is good. So I do have an agreement. Some people are okay with just an email, the 3 or 4 salient clauses that are there. Some people do want to see the whole contract, which runs about 2 pages. It's my agreement is a standard international agreement that most literary agents use. So there are 3 or 4 features of that. And one is it has to be exclusive. The agent cannot appoint the author cannot appoint 2 different agents.
Yeah.
No, for the same territory, for the same language and things like that. If it is a different territory, so I generally do India right now. And if they want to go to US or anything, there they can use a different agent, because I'm not operating there. But once I start doing that, I have a clause. Once I start doing that, we can amend it and say, let's go represent me in some other territory as well. So we do have this agreement, either sign or email and say, yes, I agree. Only because each of us understands things differently. I think I've made it very clear. You have received something else. And then we don't want to have a fallout based on our perception.
Yes.
And the way I am, generally, I'm giving way to what the author feels and saying the author is always right. But then it's better to be clear.
Yes. So, Lalitha, if I may ask you, how many publishers do you connect with? And if I'm sending a fiction manuscript to you, after everything is done, the agreement is done also, do you take that manuscript to more than one publisher? Do you do that at a time? Is that how you work? Or do you first try your one publisher, the prospective publisher who will definitely take, you may, judge based on the previous experience? How do you work on that side of things?
It depends. Again, you have to remember that this is a numbers game. The more you reach out to, the better chance you have of acceptance.
Okay.
So unless you know specifically, say HarperCollins said, I'm looking for memoirs, or I'm looking for very literary fiction, historical fiction, very well written, then I might think I have a good shot with HarperCollins. Let me go to them and see. At that time, I might initially just go to them because I'm feeling very confident.
Okay.
But 90% of the time, what I do is at least 6 to 8 publishers I do reach out based on the genre and what they are accepting. So if they are not accepting science fiction, there is no point in me sending it to, say, Westland, who says, I'm not accepting this right now. So there's no point in sending. So based on who is accepting what, there are times like very popular commercial, like thrillers, crime thrillers, fiction. Then I might send it out to a lot more people. All those who are accepting, and hope at least a few will. So it all depends. But generally, more is better than one.
So it goes to many at the same time. Yes. So suppose a manuscript is accepted by 2 prominent publishers at the same time. How do you decide on which one to send the manuscript to? Do you discuss it with the author as well?
Of course. Every time you get an offer, you have to discuss it with the author. After having understood what is being offered, in these times, is this a good offer? More or less, they are standard thing, especially with traditional publishers, you'll find that more or less the wordings are more or less the same. There may be some bit of leeway. Some things may be negotiable depending on who the author is. Suppose you are this best-selling author whose previous book has already sold 50,000 copies, 2 lakh copies, then they are ready to accommodate you. Versus if you are a debut writer writing a crime thriller, every third thing is a crime thriller, then there may not be that much in terms of negotiation. So your question, what if two fairly good publishers have shown interest? Then in that case, we'll look at everything. What is the royalty? What is the term? What is the territory that's being offered? What is the brand of each of these? How is their distribution? How comfortable are you in engaging with this? How open are they? How are they treating you? That is also very important. If they are not available for you, they're then you don't, because it's a very long-term relationship.
Yes.
It's not for 6 months or 1 year or something. Generally, these contracts are for 10 years. And if the book is doing well, it can keep going to perpetuity. So when, in your case, when there are two offers, in that case, the agent may decide to let both the publishers know that, hey, I have got a offer from
The other
ABC.
one.
ABC, they are offering me XYZ terms. But I am more interested in you. Will you match this? Will you give me, will you do something? You are now competing with this.
So interesting. Okay.
So if they are really keen,
okay.
You know, like say you are well-known personality in your field and the topic you are written is something exactly in their target list and they feel that this has a good market to sell, then they will start a bidding. So they will up their terms. They will provide, if they have not provided and offered an advance, they will offer an advance.
Okay.
If they have added an advance, then they might up the advance. Or they might offer some kind of a thing. Or there are some who will say, I will make you an offer, but if it goes into bidding, I will not bid. So then it is left for you to judge along with a discussion with the author and decide who is a better thing for that.
I'm interested in, I'm sure many of the listeners also, the aspiring as well as established authors, will like to know, do you represent already published, books? How is it that other literary agents, do you do other literary agents, do they take already published works that are in market? For example, an author is, has 5 years of publishing rights to a particular upcoming, publisher, and the period is over. It doesn't want to renew the contract there, wants to try that book through the literary agent to a better publisher. Such a scenario, how have you come across that? Do you handle that?
Yeah, several inquiries of this type that you explained do come. Some of them have self-published, it's on Amazon somewhere, or it's a self-published book, and then, or it is published by some small local publisher, and now they want like I need a pan-India kind of a publisher, things like that. Generally, what do I do, and I think most agents also do, is if it's already published and it's already in some form of visibility, like Amazon, once it is there, I really don't wish to get into it.
Okay.
Unless, as you have mentioned, that the period has already expired. And then now you want to republish it with another publisher, you don't want to continue with this. In that case, what I will see is, again, what the genre is, it what kind of writing is this really something that has a wide readership,
okay,
and whether what was the sale of that book.
Okay.
If the sale was, say, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, I'll still say okay. Even this was in a very small scale. There could be more interest in this, and if with better positioning, better marketing, then I might look at it. But generally, I don't wish to take things that are already published in any form, whether with another publisher or self-published. It's because not because of anything, but because generally other publishers are not interested in taking those on.
I heard that.
They don't know. There may be some legal thing, some clause somewhere that everything may not be known. But what they can look at is, suppose there is a bestseller that was written in Malayalam, for example, sold 15,000 copies, and then now they say Malayalam is doing well. I mean, this is something, a story which has an all India appeal or a global appeal. then we definitely, I do like to look into that.
Okay, you mean the translation of that Malayalam, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say, I'm sure like after the publishing part is over and after you've signed the contract, the author is going to get published now. Does your work stop there? Or do you also help in promoting the book for the author? Like through social media, like through other means, through the usual traditional brick and mortar means? Do you help in the promotion of the book, or does your work stop with getting the author sign the contract with the publisher?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, because today without promotion, beating your own drum and marketing, because it's all about how to stand out, how to stand out, because there are 500 editions, titles coming out, then how do you stand out? So even traditional publishers do ask, even before they can make an offer, what is your marketing plan, how much time and money you're going to spend. And based on that, they might veto, even if the editorial has passed it and says, this is an excellent story and there will be millions of people who will want to read this. The marketing may still veto it, saying, I don't know how to market this. So marketing has become very, very important. There are agents who handle the marketing and promotion of books and the authors. But I personally don't do it, because mine is a very small outfit right now. Maybe when I grow bigger, I'll think differently. But I do have collaboration or partnership with couple of social media promotion services, people who offer. So these people offer purely promotional activities, because authors are not equipped to do that. They are shy people, they're not standing on their rooftop and say, please read my book. This is about this, this is about this. Many of them, once they have written, they have moved on to another story. They don't want to talk about, I forgot what happened to that character somewhere,
Yes.
So they do need help. And the social media has become a very important beast or conduit or whatever you might call it, friend or whatever, medium. So, but I don't do it, but I do suggest. I do review the marketing plan. I do have ideas about it. And we do hook them up with some of the people that we know, or if they know somebody themselves, then they go ahead and do it. But they'll keep me in the loop, because there'll always be something, or they'll need something from the publisher or from me or something, or they want a sounding board, So that's how we do it.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
I think the meet is, the Zoom is going to get cut. We can. Yeah, sure. Lalitha, my next question is, are your contracts with the author, are they author specific or are they book specific? Like, let's say you have an author who has been publishing 2-3 books with you. Does your contract change, or does it depend on the book that they have written and the contract that the author has with the publisher?
Very good question. I've never been asked this question, but yes, I do have a standard agreement which I would like to sign with everybody who's interested. But sometimes what happens, especially this year, what has happened is a lot of senior citizens are coming up with excellent books. 70 years old, 80 years old.
Lovely.
And when I tell them this agreement is for 24 months, 2 books, they are like, who knows what's going to happen? Let's just stick.
Yeah, so nice.
Let's just stick to one. Can we just go one book by one book? And then what do I say? I say, of course, because I like that book. Because I like that book. Because, right now I'm in conversation with a Sri Lankan award-winning author. Sri Lankan author. He has got Sahitya Academy, the Premchand Fellowship and all that. So he's sort of a well-known name in the SARC region, and beautiful writing. He writes in Tamil as well as English. And he
Rishan? Is he Rishan? No.
No.
Okay.
No. I don't want to take his name.
No need.
So I told him 24 months and this and that. And then he said, oh, but I'm doing other things also. I'm writing in Tamil also, because I said mine is exclusive. You cannot go to any other agent. And if you go directly to any other publisher, it will be deemed that I am the agent on record. So I said, okay, let's keep Tamil out, because I'm not doing Tamil. I'm not doing any language. So let's keep. Then he is like, why do you insist on 2? I'm already 82 years old.
Oh, so old. Okay.
Yeah, he's been writing for 30 years.
The person I said, Rishan, is just 36. Okay.
No, this elderly senior person, very well known. Very well known. I'll tell you his name later. If you Google it,
sure.
Okay, even if you tell us here, I'm going to edit the name out. We do not let names be in the.
Okay. His name is what's his first name? Ayutharai Santan. Santhan.
Santanam must be, no?
Not Santanam, it's only Santam, something like that.
Santam.
That's okay.
Santam. Yeah.
Santam. So, Lalitha, can you share with us what are the current trends in the changes that's happening in the world of literary agents, especially in India or Asia? What are the changes happening, and what are the changes expected? Especially for
with the literary agents or the publishing?
Both, please.
Okay, so agents, so I also, when this author that I met at the Lit Fest asked me to write a review, then he said, will you read others' reviews and tell me what you think? And I was like, why do I need to read other people's reviews? I'm only interested in what I think about your book, and I've given you, my job is done. But something in his mind, he's like, no, I want to share other people's reviews, and I want you to tell me what you think, because their reviews are very different from your reviews. So then now I was put in a spot, and I was like, will I be able to even defend myself, or how do I even respond? I always feel I might have nothing to say, and it might look silly and not intelligent enough, So, but anyway, when he shared that, because they said your book, your language is very high, your 26 characters, and it's reading more like a non-fiction. It's not really a crime thriller in the commercial sense. It will not sell in India, your book. Whereas I had said that it's an excellent book. I learned a lot from this book, and it really challenged me, because the language was so powerful. Sometimes I had to look at a dictionary. And I like that kind of reading with challenges. At the end of it, you have learned a few more words, or you have learned a few more things from history, which you might have known about it, but you didn't know the background on that, or something like that.
And the depth of it, yeah.
So I said, what he's saying is also true. You have to promote your book properly. You're not promoting your book. This genre itself is wrong. You have named it crime thriller. It should be actually historical thriller, because 80% was actually non-fiction, So he said, how do I promote the book? I said, man, I don't know. I go to these lit festivals, book clubs. I see interviews on YouTube. Even if you see Shashi Tharoor or Chetan Bhagat, they're always talking about their books. So they are promoting their books. They are saying a little bit, they're creating that curiosity. They are pitching their book. You need to do that. You need to identify who is your target audience. You need to go and pitch it to them in the right way. So promotion, I think, is very important for you. And I felt like I had given great advice and my job was done. Instead, his next question was, why don't you promote my book? So I said, why should I promote your book? I don't know how to do it. It's easy for me to give advice. I don't know how to do it. I have never done it. I come from IT and financial services. I don't know how to promote. I have gone to book events where they are promoting. So he said, this was when I had just quit my job and I was like, I'm going to die of boredom. I was watching television for 12 hours a day. My calendar was filled with which movie to see at what time, which channel, who to have dinner with, where the sales are going on in the mall.
It's so sweet.
So it was a very mundane life and I thought that I was becoming a couch potato and I'm going to become this very fat, unhealthy person and I'm going to die of boredom. And I told my daughter the cause of death in my death certificate is going to be boredom. And she said, nobody dies of boredom. I said, I may be the first. Boredom will be the cause of my death because I don't know what to do with my life. So when he told me, if you have nothing to do, so it sort of, it hit a raw nerve. So I said, okay, I'll try, but don't ask me my plan, what I'm going to do. I will just try something. So, and then I put all my concentration on that. And within 2 months, I had speaking engagements for him in colleges and he was talking on, not really his story, but all about him building his own brand. This was his debut book.
Yeah.
Though he was a big shot corporate guy, he was a CEO of a telecom company. He was well known in this thing, but not in the literary circle. He was unknown and he was Indian American. So he was not in India all the time, but the book was published here. So I put him in, departments in universities. And at least this is what he said, that it is having a big impact. The sales are going up. So whatever you're doing, Lalitha, is working.
Oh.
And I had made a spreadsheet, who I was contacting. Sometimes people will say, I'm out of town. Can you call me on Monday? Or can you call me after 2 weeks? Or we are all booked for the next 3 months. You call me after 2 months. So all that was being tracked and every week I was giving him an update. He liked all that, So he said, you're very meticulous, you're very transparent, and you're very result oriented. You go after it, you don't give up. So then he said, will you become my agent?
Oh. Oh.
So he said, you have to become an agent.
Okay.
I said, oh, this country is full of agents. I was in that thing. I said, why do we need one more agent? Did you not publish your book without an agent? Why didn't you have an agent? I said, there must be a lot of others who are already there. I don't come from this industry. I have no clue about any publisher. So I don't know how to do it. I'm the wrong person. And I think this country also has too many agents. They need not have one more. He said, no. I have been trying to publish this book for 3 years. I have interacted with several agents, but nobody is like you. You have read the story, you have understood the milieu, you are talking about it very intelligently, you are talking like me as if you are the author. Whereas most of the agents are only talking about packages, business, money. You have not talked about money at all. I said, money is not my driving force. I've already worked 32 years. I have made enough money to live. That doesn't drive me. Watching 12 hours of television is better than trying to earn some money, I said. At this stage in my life, I'm learning a lot from these movies. I discovered a new world of films
Lovely,
and through the
lovely.
films history, some war, something all about Clint Eastwood, so many people, which I did not know. All of us, when you're busy working in a different field, you might be entertained, but you just that after 3 hours it's over. So then when he kept on telling me, I forgot now what your question was, but he kept on telling me
the changing trends in the
changing
publishing.
trends. So he said no, that they only have these packages. They try to, they try to extract money from you. They take advantage of your vulnerability and your eagerness to get published. Whereas you are not doing that. You're putting the book in front, and whatever needs to be done for that book, you're doing. And you are very relatable to people like me, because I also came from technology and things like that, and it was in a different world. I had also returned from US just a few months before. So he said, you're more relatable. So I really don't know what others are doing, except from what the other authors tell me. So what do they tell me? That they have reading fees. Some people did a research, that Chetan Mahajan from Himalaya Writing Retreat, where he told me that I'm very different in the sense that I don't talk money. I don't talk money till we come to an agreement. In the agreement, there are some money things, which was not there for the first 5 authors. The first 5 authors was only on royalty. But they themselves came back and said, we feel very bad. We need to pay you something. We see how much time and effort for months this has gone. So sweet. And we don't want to wait for the sales and then you will make some money. Last year, I made 732 rupees as royalty commission. So he said, that is all very little, hardly 3 cups of coffee, I guess I can buy with that money. So they said, no, we want to give you something, so you must take some. So now, how I have changed is from not taking any money at all. Now I do have a fixed fee of 15,000 once I've successfully got you a book contract that you are ready to sign. If you're not ready to sign or I have not yet succeeded, then till then nothing is payable to me, because I am saying that till you succeed, I don't want to succeed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you may get the feeling that I've already paid her money, now she's not taking interest in my thing. I don't wish that. Because I'm saying that I'm just doing this for a lark, because I don't want to die of boredom. And now I've got really hooked. I've made some wonderful friends all over the world. And they sort of trust me now, they look up to me and they are like, if it wasn't for you, I'm not going to write my next book. So when you see that kind of a thing, then you want to do. So I'm not very, very money focused. If there is a little bit of a thing, I will always defer to the author, because the author, without the author, there's no agent, there's no publisher, there's no business. The author has to be in the center. And my own plan, my own trends is to have an author's cooperative where the author will be in the center of everything and that the author will benefit from the services without having to pay 100% for them. And then if the book succeeds, which is what everybody should do, whether it's the editor, the cover designer, the promotion agency, all of that, our target is sales should, because finally it is numbers, either numbers or large number of reviews, that people are talking about it as a very excellent work. Because many times sales doesn't equal to quality.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it takes great deal of time for people to realize that that book written 20 years back is such an excellent book. You know? At that time, it didn't make a ripple because it was ahead of its time. So these kind of things are happening. I think a lot more agents. There are agents who do a full editorial support. I don't do a full, but some bit of editorial support I do. Now I do have some editors who I'm confident of, and I don't want to recommend an editor who I don't know, and then later on find that that person didn't do a good job. You know, so now we do have quite a handful of good editors, because sometimes the more polished the work is, the better chance of it getting accepted by a leading publisher or any publisher for that matter. And it also it reflects on the agent, you know, what kind of quality they are submitting.
Definitely.
Because the agent's job is to make sure that the submission is in a polished state to be submitted. To your question, what do? I see that it is all fully polished up, typos are corrected or something. The synopsis, 60% of the time the synopsis has to be rewritten. Because it's very easy to write a 50,000 or a 60, not easy, I mean easier to write the book, but to write it, condense the whole story in 800 words, very difficult. Not everybody does. Some of them do an excellent job. Very nicely they are able to summarize it. Some of them are not. Because they feel everything is important, I need to put it, and then it becomes too unwieldy, you know. It should not be more than two.
And the author also realizes, no, because that is the first taste of the book. Synopsis is the first taste of the book, so they want to make it so perfect, you know, because they understand that there's pressure on that.
So I'll do all that, you know. I might even rewrite the synopsis, you know, to some degree. I might do that. Everything will depend on how much work I'm doing on that day, you know.
Can I ask you the next question? Can I go to the next question?
Yeah.
My next question is, how attached to the book are you? Like, I understand from the conversations that we have had till now, that you basically work like a partner with the author for the book to get published. So how attached the book are you, like when it gets published? Because usually the authors get excited, right? It feels like a baby. Many authors give this analogy, like I just gave birth to a baby when I write a book and it gets published, and when I have it in my hand, it feels like I'm holding my own child. So how attached are you to the book? You know?
I have to be very attached. If I'm not attached, I don't wish to I don't wish to partner that. And like you said, it is a partner. And in this process of few months, many have become your friends, and you want them to succeed. Not for anything else, from a personal perspective, not for anything else, but nothing succeeds like success, you know. And to be a small part, in bringing this baby, as you say, into this world, and to have some visibility for the book, to get reviews for the book. You know, reviews are very important. To have people talk well about that book, inquire about the book and the author, they are very important to me. If I'm not involved in it, you know, I don't wish to take it on at all. Because I'm not here just to do some business and earn my dal roti, you know. Maybe if I had started it 20 years ago and my livelihood depended on it, I would be doing things a little bit differently. But this is really my second innings, and it's more of being occupied, doing something outside of myself.
We have to touch on one.
I'm very much attached. I know all the stories very well. You know, more or less, I might know the stories.
Lalita,
so I'm definitely very attached. Yeah.
That's very nice. I thought we shouldn't miss this question. We have been talking about books. So books have come or through you or through another publisher or agent. You also take fiction to screen, from what I learn. How does that work?
You know, today, especially 2020 onwards, where there's been a spike of OTT consumers as well as supply of different kind of a thing, there is a great deal of demand for stories.
Okay.
What the film walas like to call as content.
Mm.
Earlier, the Salman Khan didn't really have a content. You know, you went to see Salman Khan doing this antics. The stories was the same. You know, boy meets girl, boy is rich, girl is poor, and they meet, they fall in love, and then there is the villain. And now people want stories, and people are, because of OTT and everything else, there is a demand for a big variety. And because streaming has now become so accessible to everybody at a small cost, there's a whole lot of you know, serials, movies meant for different screens coming up. So these producers, these people are looking for ready-made stories. They have no time to now spend 2 years in writing a story. So they are looking for, what has happened is now there is a demand from this side, from the cinematography, and there are a lot more people writing stories, you know, whether it is non-fiction, they're writing about the wars or writing about some personalities. You know, now the new one has come, Uddam Singh, and you know, all these kind of things. And because they have these stories, if it is already ready-made available, it sort of jumpstarts. They know how the story is going to look. They might modify that for the screen, but at least they know that this is where we are starting. This is the block that I have. I might have to chisel it a bit to make it more interesting, because what works for the book, you know, can be more descriptive, but in cinema you need more action, more drama, more emotion.
A little more exaggeration also. A little more exaggeration also for a movie than
little more exaggeration. Otherwise, who wants to just see a simple, you know, just sipping your tea? Some drama has to be there. You know? So there is a lot of demand for books. So these producers are content scouts, you know, from all over now. Whether it is the South Indian, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, all these people are looking for, because they all have a devoted viewership. You know, they have this mass. So they are all looking for these kind of ready-made stories. Earlier, they were looking for only best-selling books. That it should have this best-selling, or it should have good publicity, so that there's already a dedicated viewership. Now, if I make it into a film or a web series, you know, at least there's 5,000 people will talk about it.
Short win,
Now they have so much shortage of stories, and they are like, give me any story, even if it is still not published.
Is it?
Because the publishers have become so picky. 80% of publishers have lost jobs in the pandemic. So the capacity has shrunk. I'm talking of traditional publishers, but just like any economic cycle, newcomers have come in with better technology and newer models offering hybrid and you know, paid kind of publishing, which now is not looked down upon, because finally a book is a book. Nobody buys a book based on who has published it. People buy a book on what they have heard about the review, what they read in the blurb, or they know the author. Nobody says this is a book published by ABC, so I will buy. Nobody. How many of us go to their publisher's website to see what we have published? No, you don't. You go to Goodreads, or you go to your book club. You see there what people are talking about. That is where you look for. So adaptations now, while people are not making money out of sale of books, because sale of books have gone down a lot. And when I say books, I mean book in whatever medium, you know, whether paperback, whether Kindle, ebook, whatever. Book is a book. So there is not much. There's a lot of plagiarism. A lot of publishers are suffering from that. There is no way, even though the Copyright Act and all that has come in, but to catch hold of a plagiarism, it's a long drawn legal effort.
Yes.
So the adaptation has come up as a boon, because now they don't even want that it be published, even if it is ready. So what I do is I work to 3 or 4 production houses who have OTT, who do cinema as well as web series streaming, and also a couple of content scouts. So content scouts, what they do is they are a part of this industry. They know all the production houses, platforms, Netflix, Amazon, you know, Alt Balaji or whoever. They know that these people are looking for this kind of stories. And so they will reach out to the publisher, to the author, even the agents, you know. LinkedIn is a very good source. I found people reach out from there, or through some referral they come, or they look at the book that is published, you know, and say, you talk to Lata and she has mentioned my agent, Lalitha. She tells me to write and not do anything else or something like that. So then they'll know, you know, then they reach out to you.
Yeah.
There, the submission, they do look for it. They do come through agents. I do have some kind of agreement signed with them, like an NDA, where I will send them in brief, a brief pitch initially, like what is the story, what are the characters, which period it is set in. Things that will sort of help with understanding who will be a good actor to have, or what kind of budget. Like if it is a period film or it is some historical fiction, you know, they might have to recreate all of that. You know, so whether there's an appetite. Then once they see that yes, I have an interest in this, then they will ask for the book or the manuscript. So either they will buy the book from Amazon if it is listed there, or if it is not yet published, like, you know, Lata Gwalani's, her second book that is going to come out next month, Road to Abana. I don't know if she spoke about it. Road to Abana, that is yet to come, but there's already interest in that story.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good.
I think I have one last question, and after that we can go on to World of W.
Yes.
My last question is, can you hear me?
Lalitha?
I think her video is stuck. Yeah. You have to switch on your mic. Please switch on your mic. Yeah.
Sorry, I suddenly realized that you all had frozen and I kept talking. I think some network at my end, or
that's okay.
Yeah. That's fine. And recording. Yeah,
so there is a lot of interest. There is a lot of interest for adaptation. I do help out with that because I do work with these content scouts or production houses. And the more you work with them, the more then they come out and say, I need a women-centric story, or what about a biopic, some real life. There's a lot of interest now for non-fiction kind of stories, you know. Real life, real life, true life-based stories. Of course, crime, nothing sells like crime. Serial killers.
I have
so adaptation, at least you'll make some money, you know, which runs into a few lakhs of rupees if you're able to negotiate that. Even if the first one you have settled for something low, but the fact that now you become recognizable as this story is already come out, then, you know, your price can go up. So you have to, what I suggest is, you know, don't be too greedy. Just Just use this as a stepping stone. Whatever money you are making is better than what you did not get for this book.
Yes, yes.
Because it is still in few lakhs of rupees. It's not like
Yeah.
10,000 or 20,000. It runs in lakhs of rupees.
Good.
So adaptation, this is how I help. Yeah.
Okay.
I have one last question, after which we can go to the next segment. My last question is: Do you work towards the adaptation of the books that you have been an agent to, or can people who are already us, people like us who have never even signed anything through you, come and approach you for just the adaptations alone, separately, without for the publishing part?
Yeah. Yes, and people do. Because see, my agreement, I have bundled it. I don't like to keep only the book and not have the cinematography. Because as I told you last year, my royalty income 732 rupees. It's there is no way to audit. You have to accept what is given. So if at all I make any money, something worth my effort, at least to pay for some shopping, it is through adaptation. It is through adaptation because it runs into lakhs of rupees, and my commission is a bit more than what I would charge for the book.
Of course, yeah.
So they are bundled there. So your question is whether they can come only for the adaptation? Yes. There are few people who have come. There are few people, in fact, next week I have a discussion with one person who has written a screenplay. It's not even a book yet, but a screenplay, and it's a very nice screenplay. I think it might have an importance. So I do have interest in that.
Good.
You can reach out to me if you already published somewhere, self-published, whatever way published, it's okay. Because today there is no such thing as, who has published it. It's okay.
Fantastic.
And do you want us to leave and come back, or?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
I think it's time for us now to go to the next segment, which is World of W's. World of W's is nothing but what, when, where, all that W questions, for which you don't have to answer very elaborately or anything. You can just give like short answers. It's for the when the audience don't have the time to listen to the entire segment, they could just scroll to this part and listen, so that they could get a gist of what we've spoken till now. And if they're interested in furthering their connections with you, they could use this segment to do that. So that is the point of World of W.
Yes.
I will start with my first question. When is your next book coming out? The next book that you are an agent to? When is the next book, and whose book is it, and what is it about?
There are 3-4 books coming out.
Okay.
By 26th November, we are participating in a film and literature festival. So there we are expected to launch Curse of Kuku Tarma by Pradeep Roy. He is an anthropologist and a social researcher. This is on a time travel and science fiction. Kuku Tarma is another name for Mohenjo-daro. So it goes into time travel between then and the 21st century. That is ready for launch, and we expect that to be launched on 26th November. Then 3 other books around the same time. Because of the festival, we are trying to time it with that. One is The Story of Ayodhya by Yadu Vijay Krishnan. He is a director, cinematographer of Malayalam films. He has he has also written and directed a Sanskrit film. So that is Story of Ayodhya, from the last 500 years history of the Ayodhya and up to 91, 92. That is his story.
Okay.
Beautifully researched and well-written story that is coming out. Then there is The Morning Star by Mr. Krishnan Iyer. Mr. Krishnan Iyer is a MD of a technology company. He's a senior executive. And he has written a sort of a memoir cum satire on the first lockdown and how our lives change and how ridiculous things happen to us. Okay. How overnight things change. So that is The Morning Star, which is the Morning Star is the devil. And so he's written, that is also expected to come out. And finally, there is Sanjay Chandra, who's also a retired senior executive from the corporate world. His book, his second book, The Street Performers. And the first, there are going to be 3 parts, and this part will be the gymnast. It is a story of sort of rags to riches kind of a story of a regular rural family coming into the city and how that second generation achieves things in their own right. Okay. So in this case, this person goes to the Paris Olympics. Actually, he had written it earlier, so it was the Tokyo Olympics. Okay. If it was not, for the pandemic last year, the book could have come last year, but it's come later. But he has mentioned Tokyo. So that book, that also is a very heartwarming. What hard work and dedication can do. Your economic background need not be. Incidentally, all these, Yadu is a very young person. I mean, I think he's less than 30, but the others are, sort of senior corporate people. So these are the books. That's well immediately that I can think of. There are 3-4 others also that are coming. There is Saath that is coming in December 7th. Saath meaning 7. It is a collection of 7 short stories by Abhimanyu Jamwal. Okay. This is his second book. He is a very powerful writing, very dedicated writer. It's sort of like Animal Farm and things. So you have to read it. Metaphorical. There's a different message into it. That's called Saath. That is coming on 7th of December.
That's great. So I thought of asking you, what are the chances of, because this podcast is for aspiring writers, young persons, suppose never published before, the first book, what are the chances, how high are the chances of getting picked by publishers? I know.
And they go through you.
Yeah, through you. What are the chances?
The chances are very good. Only thing is you should not be stuck up. Some people are stuck up that it is success only if ABC publishes my book. And I am saying nobody buys a book because it is published by somebody. And let me tell you, I'm not going to take names, but there are at least 20 to 30, 40% of my authors are published authors who are with me. Who even before they came to me, they had one book published by traditional multinational authors, and all of them, at least a dozen of them, without exception, have said anybody but them.
Oh.
So what I'm saying is it doesn't matter who has published your book. Do not try to think that only if ABC has published, I have succeeded. What you need from a publisher is a person who will collaborate with you, who is available, who understands your vision for the book, who is able to support that and also provide his or her own inputs, who has a skin in the game, who says that your success is my success.
Lovely, no, that's
I also need a best-selling author. I need my books to sell lakhs and millions of copies. you know, so, so what exactly was your question?
You've answered the question. You've answered the
Yes.
question.
Yes.
You've
Okay.
answered the question. Yeah. How long does your process usually take? Average. I'm not asking like for you to be very specific.
Average
It depends.
3 to 6 months. 3 to 6.
And what's your most preferred genre? Which ones do you prefer the most?
My personal preferred is any well-written non-fiction. That's my personal. But in fiction, I do have, open to well-researched book, which has some kind of a factual research, like this Ayodhya story. If you see all the stories that I have mentioned to you, there is a
most
thread
of them are historical.
Or a society, this rags to riches story, or this satire, or the earlier one that was published, The White Collared Slave. It is, these people who work in corporate world who think that you have arrived, but actually you're a slave to that. This is written very satirically. So those are the kind, anything that's well written, those are preferable to me. And I generally tend to view authors who are regular writers, not something that I've written once and then I don't know now. Because especially if they are debut writers, because in the debut writing is always very tough. The entry barriers are very high. Though today there are a lot of options, which I think will become the trend from 2022 and definitely 23, 24 will become the norm. Is to look at hybrid publishing, some form of paid publishing. I'm not saying self-publishing, because these are modeled on a traditional publishing contract, but providing all kinds of support which traditional publishers generally expect you to do, and they are not providing that. So you'll have to seek it out from a third party. Instead, everybody, you get the bundle services.
So how can the authors reach out to you?
So they can either reach out to me through email or through my website. I have all my contact details mentioned there. Most people tend to fill up that contact me form and then it comes to me and then I reply to them. But even though I've also mentioned my email address, phone number there, very few actually have called me, which works well. I prefer the email first, then to start talking and then they are saying something, I have not read it. It makes no sense. I prefer to be prepared.
Yes.
That's why my calls are all scheduled. So through my website, through my social media handles, Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. These are generally where I get my inquiries from. Or through referrals, the existing people refer to something.
So our website is First Forays, right? Your website
First Forays, FIRSTFORAYS.com.
So thank you. I think it's the end of the segment and the session also. Can you tell us, if you have any parting words for our listeners and about how you felt through this entire session? What was your experience like?
It's been a very wonderful experience because, while some questions may come to you randomly, but not, especially my very close friends, my neighbors, they're not interested in what I do, especially because it's books. If I say I'm doing something with Salman Khan, maybe, I will, my worth will go up in front of them. But books, they are ready to change the topic because now what do I ask you about books? So for both of you all to ask me how exactly, some of the questions that you have asked have never been asked before, and I myself have not thought about it. Because in the last few months, I have been writing on Facebook and LinkedIn, what are the do's and don'ts with an agent, because generally what happens is some people just leave it and wait for me to come back, because they say if she has an update, she'll do. Some people every 48 hours, what is the update? What is the update? You know, even that is a bit, because nothing happens in 48 hours.
Yes.
I mean, nothing happens even in 48 days. I mean. And if there is an update, if there is a contract, I'm not going to keep it a secret. I'm going to come immediately to you. I'm going to pick up the phone and speak to you. So patience, what I would say is, what I tell everybody, what I told Lata is, your job is to write. You're good at writing. Keep writing. Your mind should be occupied with stories and writing. Leave everything else to me. If you want to talk to me, we can talk. But don't ask me update, because then it... you know, because we are also under pressure, no? We also want to speed up things. We want to succeed. Because if I have 10 best-selling authors, even I want to show these are all best-selling authors. So because my money also comes only when they sign the contract. And I actually bill them only when the book is out. Like all these 4 books that I mentioned to you that are coming out in the next 10 days or so, they haven't paid me yet, even though the book is almost ready to launch. So I'm that kind of a person. So in that kind of a thing, if you keep on, every thing is, have patience, keep writing, don't stop with one, continue to write. We never know which will succeed. You might love the first one, but your second one may succeed, which you may not think is very mediocre, but somehow it succeeds. Each book has its own, I think, comes with its own karma and its luck or whatever. I believe in karma very much, I mean, now. Because even if you try, sometimes the outcome is not in your hands. What is in your control is to do the best you can and to submit the best. So have patience, things will happen. Even if your second book succeeds, your first book also will get reflected glory, and interest will come.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And today with adaptations, even if your book is not doing that great, if it is picked up for adaptation, nothing succeeds like that. There is. And today, earlier, if you see, 15 years back when 3 Idiots first came, that is the first time we had heard Chetan Bhagat's book being, adapted to the film. And I don't know how much you all know how shabbily he was treated. And his name in the records were right at the end after bank and branch and thanks to everybody and this one, that one, somebody's dog trainer, everything. And last, I actually stood there to see when it came, and it came almost when everything was ready. I mean, everyone had left the auditorium, the cleaners had come and cleaned it, and the next show was almost started, and then his name based on a thing. Today, they don't do that, they are showing right in the beginning itself, based on the book by so-and-so.
Good.
So that gives you it stands out, So you are getting that thing, and once that succeeds, then there is interest in the book. There is a platform for the author to speak. There is more respect now for the writers, and while reading may be going down, but the people who are reading are always reading.
Yeah.
There is a dedicated group of readers. We all read. I mean, look at you all. You all are doing this for a year, you're saying, your season. So, thing is, patience is the key.
Fantastic.
And you have to do whatever is the best option available. Don't think of it as a failure. Your job is to peddle the book, talk about the book passionately.